there is 82 trillion estimated in reserves on this continent. What would you do differently in terms of this manufacturing vision?
Okay, that's a great question, and tough one too. Let me just relate that to the last point that the gentleman just mentioned, which is the training, the skills. I was also astonished when I heard that, or I looked at one report, I'm hoping it's not even true, that the percentage of engineers or you know, the more scientific oriented education in Africa as compared to Germany is about 3%. That's shocking. And I'll tell you something very interesting. If you look at opposite in Egypt, we have maybe 3 times than Germany. Does that mean that we are number one in manufacture? No, we're not. I mean, as compared to, if you put Germany, which as I believe, in my expertise, they are one of the top manufacturing industry. But what I'm saying is, you need also to balance this. Again, I'm talking about, you know, as an Egyptian African or African Egyptian. Why not to use the surplus, really surplus? I'm talking about hundreds of thousands a year. I mean, graduate, not hundreds of thousands, maybe 50, 60,000 in different disciplines. And some of them, they unemployed. And now we're saying, okay, Africa, the rest of Africa, we are low in this. Let's just wait another 20, 30 years. And you are the rich guy that don't know what to do with your money and is sitting in the corner and millions of people looking at it. I'm going to wait another 20, 30 years, like most of the reports say, until we can do it. I can't. Why don't we integrate? That's the whole question. Let's just integrate. You as a private sector, this is the heart and aorta of Africa. As was mentioned before, yes, the governments, they have their own way of thinking and handling issues. There is the public sector, yes, but in anywhere, even US, what is the bulk economy comes from? Private sector. In fact, anything that's close to public sector is always losses. You know, like even the post office in US, like many of you, they live in US, it is actually a company. It's self-sustained. The government doesn't pay a penny to the post office. It's a US postal office, but has nothing to do with the government except they own it. The largest manufacturer of military, okay, it's called Aerospace Corp, all the weapons in the whole world, killing everybody, is actually in one facility close to El Segundo in Los Angeles, close to Los Angeles. It's called Aerospace Corporation. All the rockets, all the smart bomb, right? It's a company. It's a Delaware company, LLC. It's owned by the government, but they don't pay a penny. They have to be self-sustained. What I'm saying, this is the responsibility of the private sector. So back to your question, I'm not trying to escape from that tough question. I'm just trying to relate. Yes. This issue of, okay, we wait until we get the new generation of scientific-oriented education. In the morning, there was discussion about, which is, I respect all opinions, why I'm studying geography, why I'm not to be just teach me how to be a businessman. Well, if you don't have those medical doctors to cure our lots of sick children and other bringing people to volunteer for outside, we need us to volunteer to our people, number one. Number two, I need an engineer to help me to do the roads and teach the next generation. Not just to teach engineers, teach people with no skills to have a skill. That's the job. We will have different mission as African than a developed country, or what they call a developed country. We are not just going to produce an engineer to be an engineer going to the site. No. Obligation of that person should be written in the curriculum at the university. You are different than the graduate in in Switzerland. You are African. You have obligation. So your job is not only to go and build, but you have obligation every year to get me 5 skilled laborers. Otherwise, I don't give you a license. You have to help me. We are not in the situation like Europe or US or other countries. We are in a situation we know our issues, like, for example, the infrastructure. I hear it all the time. And if I wait again for the roads to be done, I mean, we're dreaming that for, I don't know, 100 years, then the money sits in the back, the 82 trillion, going to be stolen. So what we do, I mean, we have to do the best out, like 2 countries close to each other. Unfortunately, I don't know that much about, issues here in Africa, but maybe Ghana and the neighboring country, maybe they have some agreement, so we have a connection. We go step by step. Don't you think about issue about having the money to do the infrastructure? I don't think, at least my opinion, it is not the case. The case that anybody outside Africa, this is where the money is. I need that to be always the giant, as we call him. I want it to be at least half asleep. I don't want them to wake. That's going to be a disaster for many people, many countries. This is where I get. I mean, I heard some TED, lecture. The TED series. That was a real report. That, I don't know how many billion per year euros goes to France until today. I don't know how. I mean, that person was talking. But I'm just saying, if we have a road, as always they say, the Golden Triangle or whatever, the triangle between South Africa, Egypt, and Rabat, and Morocco, and in between, can you imagine the amount of trade that we'll have? We'll have huge amount of movement of things. I mean, I don't have to depend on the sea or anything, or air. I mean, and this is actually, just to give you an issue related to that. See, manufacturing, as I said, in our stage, we are in KG1. We wanted to be serving the demand of the market first. We're not gonna, I don't believe that I have to do solar cells now. I mean, I need it, but not the point. But I need to do some tools to let me go quickly and guard this money. And one of the things I would like to see is to have, for example, the roads. The roads has to be done by us. And how we can we do that? By our resources. There is issues in political issues. As I said, I'm sure there is a pressure on the top of governments because other people don't want you to do that, because this is going to be a nightmare. Once we have the roads, the network is here. And one of the things, experience-wise, in Egypt, the last 4 or 5 years, there is actually huge amount of roads. Actually, I have, in a week or so, a conference, press conference with about 100 reporters from different parts of the world, just talking about the impact, the economic impact and social impacts on the highways that has been established in the last 4 years. Egypt was number 181 for quality of roads. This is true. This is the United Nations. Last August, jumped to 28, higher than many European countries. And then people saying in Egypt, this guy, he's not thinking. You're spending huge. Give us food. Don't give us roads. But you know what happened with these roads? At least 50 cities has been established. The land that was just a desert has a value now. People are buying it. Shops start to be built. It became automatic. Once you start that, you don't think about only infrastructure just because I'm going to spend money. You're gonna actually cultivate societies. You're going to bring jobs. Can you imagine if you have like a 1,000-mile, 600 kilometers of even roads? How many people are going to work in this? Put in the subways, the asphalt, and so forth. How much you're going to gain out of this, of societies built around that road? So what I'm saying, in addition to the ease of movement of goods within the continent, but also we are gaining what? We're gaining a fringe benefit by building our societies and bringing the people economical, level to be higher. Again, the education, again, and I'm not against what has been said, but needs to have the different scientific, engineering, and so forth. And also, we are, as I mentioned, Africa is different. We have to have more work than many other continents if you want to move quickly before the money goes. So what I'm going to do, I have to divide my intention not only to have a bachelor's degree, because in Egypt that's a big problem, the social issue. If you don't get a degree, 4 years college, and you go to an institute, no, you don't like that, or diploma. I think the focus here, part of it will be the leaders to lead the laborers and the crews, and also we have to have the academia to be involved with the government, to have institutions that will help plumbing, electricians, and so forth. We have to generate our own trained, skilled laborers before we say why we have a problem with manufacturing. And this is not new. I mean, many other gentlemen and ladies has spoken about that issue. But let's just, since I am an educator for 42 years, I'm just saying that it is the responsibility also of the universities and the governmental institution that they have to help in that. And the government and even the presidents had to be advised that this is essential. And I'll give you just one example. There was a large contractor, and still now a company, because now it became a government, Osman, or Arab Contractors. And that time, that person who passed away, Osman, he was visionary back in 50s. And he, by his private money, established a labor university. So they make the people feel good. You're a laborer, but you're graduate from university. It's not for engineers. This is for laborers. And they give them a huge certificate. They stay not 4 years, they stay for 6 months, depending on the specialty. And during this 6 months, they are not sitting in a chair. Their jobs is to take the essential fundamental thing 1 week, and 1 week they are working under supervision. And without it, they cannot pass. So 6 months, you get a foreman. And in the same time, there is income. So that person who has like 5, 6 kids still can learn and has also money and can feed his or her family. So I think also, if you think about it from the global point of view, again, you need your heart and to be inside that issue. And I'm sure all of you has that in your hearts. If you think about the private sector, and private sector also is a victim, because you want to do things. You have money already in the market, but you lose sometimes. Why? Because I don't have the tools. So if we think, if you look, not a private, but if you as a private sector think, you know what, in all my sector, I'm going to talk to different people who are large or medium size, and I'm going to do the institution private. It's not by fees, it's not for profit. It's actually my profit will be the people or the labor or the skilled people who are going to come, and the fees for me is to have with me a contract for 2 years, and then you're free to go. Because even if you let him go from your business, you know very well he's going to serve Africa. So it doesn't really matter. He's still also getting your money back. I mean, globally. So I think that issue is very important. And once you do that infrastructure, as I'm borrowing that from a gentleman from the morning, the infrastructure as an infrastructure, physically, tangibly, and the infrastructure of the people, which is even more value. So if I have this too, then I'll be great. The second thing, or one of the things also, as I said, the trading. Also another gentleman was talking about, he has honey, he want to trade that, Why don't we also try to see this as an example? Like in Egypt, I'm giving just an example of Egypt, So the clinkers comes here, less costly to do energy because we have that issue, the uncompetitive. By the way, if they get it for uncompetitive market for energy, you're going to be competitive. If the other countries did not take that opportunity, 100% you'll be competitive, because you need just an engine to hit that small rocks. Then you can actually export it to that, even between us. There is nothing wrong that one state like Ghana versus Congo, and this makes money, and that competition. The competition is very healthy. We are not trying to abuse each other, but there's no, I mean, if we, all of us, somebody will get the 82 trillion and give everybody $1 here, nobody gonna move. So the competition is very important, very healthy. And we saw, as I said, Rwanda and other countries that I heard of, even in Ethiopia when I went there. So they are growing. The issue, by the way, is not only the hydro energy. Like in Egypt, by the way, they spend billions. And that's unfortunately was also several loans from the IMF. But for some reason, lucky enough, that there was market and shortage of energy around the neighborhood. Right. Arab neighborhood and also Europe. So now, yes, it was costly, but it was not just the high dam, but through the regular way of doing it. So I think the opportunities are there. And always, you have to understand also, I like some of the discussion here when they say that the Europe or U.S. and so forth, they look at you. You don't want you to get everything, you know, to be very successful. That's true, which is fine. I mean, we don't have to cry. You know, you always, what they can do is just try to dictate some policies here to help. You know, I hate when I hear, oh, this illegal immigrant, that's why the H2020 program, sorry, this is also European funded, but, and always, oh, African is crossing, they're killing, they're doing. I'm sorry, you owe me few hundred years. You crossed without any legality. You came and killed me, you took my resources, and you left. And I did not have the opportunity to talk. So you pay some of that. If some people left, in my opinion, I'm sorry, maybe this is not the appropriate way, but for me, I get so angry because you came by thousands not to help me or find a job. You came to take the jobs and the wealth, and you left. So anyway, so that's my 2 cents.